they're still making like millions of dollars a year from what I'm paying them. And that made me mad because I didn't think about it. And I know why I didn't think about it. I didn't have time to think about it. Hi, my name is Crystal, and as you saw from the introduction to this video, I previously made a video about my experience in Amway through LTD, how I felt about it, and kind of giving a warning to those who think they may want to do it, and to those who are in it and want to leave. I just made that video just because I felt like I needed to say something about what I had experienced, and I have gotten so many comments, emails. I've had a couple of phone calls with people who saw the video. I've even had a couple of Zoom conversations too with some previous LTD members. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the video. I didn't expect that much. I didn't expect for that video to make that much impact. I've gotten some emails and questions about how I left, questions about PV after I leave, even some comments, just people being really transparent about their experience. And I wanted to make kind of a follow-up video to discuss and talk about exactly how I left Amway, how I left LTD, the things that I did, the things that I didn't do, and also to kind of better communicate why I left Amway. So in the previous video, I talked about just my experience, but the ultimate reason as to why I left Amway and LTD especially was because I felt that they were selling a dream. I felt that they were selling this really immaculate dream that is just unattainable, because the real reason and the real way they're making their income is not through Amway. Yes, they are making a portion of money through Amway, but most of their income is coming through the AMO, which is LTD. So whether it's LTD, Brit Worldwide, Network 21, whatever, AMO that people are being a part of for Amway, they're making their money through us paying that membership fee. And that's what I didn't appreciate. I would have liked to have been told that up front so that I could have made my decision as to whether I move forward. But from my understanding, they were letting us know that most of their income was coming through Amway, which just wasn't true. So once I realized that, I was like, this is silly. I'm not doing this anymore, because a lot of the things that they're talking about is just kind of unattainable the way they said it. They talked about how you only need to put forth 10 hours to make the business work. That's not true. You need to put forth at least 40 plus hours to make that business work. And realizing that, I was like, I don't have time to do this. This isn't, I kind of felt like I was sold a dream. I didn't have time to actually make it work, and I didn't appreciate that. So that was the reason why I left LTD, along with some other things. I got an email from a few people, but one young lady was talking about like how I left, what's gonna happen to her PV when she leaves. So I just wanted to talk about the 5 things that I did when I left, and maybe if you're thinking about leaving or know somebody who is caught up in Amway that wants to leave, maybe you can share this video with them and let them know how I did it. I also know that not every group or team is the same. I had my sponsor was really great. She wasn't she wasn't arrogant, she wasn't domineering, she was really cool. She's one of the reasons why I stayed as long as I did, because she was such a cool sponsor. But I did do these things to finally exit LTD and leave Amway. So the first thing I did was I actually decided to leave. I made a decision that I just was not going to do it anymore. What I was going to do initially was just switch AMOs and go to a different one. But once I saw some videos of people who were in different AMOs, and I saw a couple of documentaries about MLMs, I was like, I don't think anything's actually going to change if I were to leave and go to a different AMO. I don't think that there will be much of a difference. So I really sat down and decided I'm just not going to do it anymore. And what really did it for me was paying that monthly fee of $89.99 every month. I was like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. It got annoying. I got upset seeing it come out of my bank account. So that was really like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I decided that I was actually going to leave. Then what I did was I told my sponsor. So at the time, her and I worked together. So I literally, like, I think I decided like on a Monday, and then like on a Wednesday, I decided to walk over there. So I literally, on my break, I got up and walked over to her office in the building she was working in. And I walked over there and I just sat down and I told her, I was like, hey, you know, unfortunately I'm going to be leaving and walking away from Amway. And she was extremely supportive. Like, she was like, you know, I completely understand. You know, I told her that my other business was blowing up and that I needed more time to work on that. I just did not have time to do both. She completely understood. She told me that she appreciated me staying and sticking it out with her for as long as I did. You know, she wasn't like angry or arrogant. You know, her response was exactly, I think, what I needed to really just walk away with in good standing, I guess. Like, because it did feel like a job. Like, you know, when you have a job, you put in your 2 weeks. I just wanted to be in good standing, I guess. So when I told her, she was just so chill and cool about it. She was like, yeah, you know, that's fine. I completely understand. So after that, we talked a little bit more, and that was that. Then I went back to my office, and then I texted my upline coach. She was the one that was actually coaching me, working with me through things. So I texted her and I was like, hey, if you have a couple of minutes, I wanted to talk to you about my decision to leave Amway. And she texted back and said, yeah, call me when you get a chance. So I called her right then, and I told her that I'd be leaving Amway because of growth in my other business. And she said that that was fine. You know, she was like, do what you need to do. I completely understand. And that was the conversation. And so those are the first 3 things that I did. So I feel like telling my sponsor and my upline coach, I feel like that was just kind of a courtesy. I don't think that you need to tell anybody. I think if you really feel like you want to leave, you can really just kind of ghost everybody, I guess. I mean, you really can't just delete and block numbers if you really don't want to tell anybody. But I never felt like pressured from most of my uplines to do anything. So we had a really chill group. People worked a lot, but I never felt like anybody was trying to bully me into doing anything. So I just took it upon myself to let them know, hey, I'm leaving. And I mean, they can't stop me. I mean, I guess they could try to talk me out of it, but they were just like, okay, do what you need to do. But I understand that some people don't have that luxury. I understand that some people have uplines and coaches and upline diamonds that are jerks and that are disrespectful and arrogant. So I think it might be a little bit more challenging to tell them. And the email that I received from the viewer, I wish I could remember her name. She was just saying that her upline, I think she said that she stopped going to meetings, but her upline was texting her nonstop and like, you know, telling her like, you better show up, things like that. And I don't really know why people tolerate that type of behavior. If anything, you can just block the person and delete their number. But if they somehow get through and are still contacting you, I don't think you should put up with that behavior. That's very inappropriate. And at the end of the day, I mean, you're a contract worker. So you have no obligation, and you don't owe these people anything. And I do say that with a grain of salt, because I know that a lot of us had uplines that did great things for us. My upline coach, she threw me a really nice engagement party, you know, that linked to the products that I was selling. She took time and all that stuff and effort and all that stuff, which I appreciated. She didn't have to do that, but she did, and I appreciate it. But at the end of it all, I was paying $90 a month to be a part of this group. So I didn't owe anybody anything, you know? I didn't owe anybody anything. If anything, people owed me, because I was the one paying. We were all paying all this fees just to kind of be around each other, really, and just to have access to the system. So I think with that being said, I think you need to realize that you don't owe anybody anything. I don't even think you owe anybody an explanation, honestly. I think if you really feel like you want to leave and you don't want to talk to anybody, then I think you can't ghost people. I think you can block numbers and delete numbers, because you don't necessarily have to tell people anything. But that was the first 3 things that I did. And after that, the 4th thing that I did was I actually called Amway to cancel my IBO ship. Now, if I remember correctly, with Amway, if you don't pay that yearly like renewal fee, your website won't work. And I don't think you have access to certain things. But I called them because I wanted them to know that I'm not paying anything else. And so I called them and it was no big deal. I think the rep that I talked to, she was like, okay. And she just, I think she canceled it for me. I don't even remember. I think that it was officially canceled and I got an email saying that, you know, it was canceled. And I ended up being a preferred customer instead of an IBO. Like it rolled over to a preferred customer instead of an IBO. So I was able to still keep that discount that we get, whatever discount that is, at that 3% discount, whatever we get. I was able to keep that for that time. I don't even think I'm a preferred customer anymore, but I was able to keep that. But I called Amway Fourth, let them know that I didn't want anything to do with it. And I think I took my credit card. Oh, and then what I did was with LTD, I emailed them and told them that I no longer wanted to be a part of it. And they have like an exit form, I think. I wish I could, I need to look it up and see, but they haven't actually looked it up. What I did was I emailed their like support email. I told them that I wanted to cancel my LTD membership. And what they did was emailed me back with a link that I needed to, it was like a survey, a link to a survey that I needed to fill out to actually cancel membership. Once I did that, I got another email saying that my membership has been canceled. And it also said that I can't reactivate my account once it's been deactivated. So I don't know about that because I've seen people who left and came back. So that's what the email said though. So I just emailed them, told them that I wanted to leave. I got a link, filled out that survey. It was like a little survey monkey. Filled that out, and then they were able to actually take me out of the LTD system. I did contact them, and it was a smooth process. I didn't have to talk to anybody after I did that. And then after that, I actually returned my products. So I didn't even think to return my products. It wasn't until I was watching a different video from somebody else, and she was saying that she returned all her products. She ran up like $40,000 in debt while she was in Amway, and she just returned a bunch of products. And I was like, I didn't even think about returning stuff. So that's what I did. I think I emailed, or I called Amway and asked them, how can I return my stuff? And they said, put everything in a box. And I think they told me to write my name on it or something like that. But I did, I put everything that I didn't use, and I have like 3 boxes full of soap, full of detergent, full of products that I had bought that I never used. And I put it in a box. I hand wrote my name on the paper as well as my IBO number and said that I wanted to return these items. And I put like box 1 of 2 or box 1 of 3 in like, you know, each of the boxes, and I mailed them off. And I think they actually sent me like a return label. I'll have to double check that and see. But I dropped it in the mail, and then I looked on my credit card statement, and I actually got a refund for all the things that I got back. I got back $200 worth of returns. So I believe it's a 90-day return policy they have. So the things that I purchased in those 90 days, I was able to return. There was things that I purchased that went past that I couldn't return. So there were also some things that I had used once, like some makeup things that I couldn't return or give away. So I threw those away. And then there were some things that I just gave away. So that was how I got rid of a lot of the products. Now, when you return something as an IBO, the person who sponsored you loses that PV. I know that because the young lady that I sponsored, she ended up returning back her welcome kit, and I lost, I think, like 60 PV after she returned it. I literally logged on to my little Amway thing and saw that I was 60 PV short, and I was like, what's happening? So I called Amway, and they told me, oh, well, she returned the kit, so you lose PV because of that. And I was like, okay, great. No one ever said anything to me about it. I mean, my sponsor, she didn't say anything to me about it. I'm sure she noticed, but she never said anything to me about losing PV. But your sponsor will lose, or whoever, you know, is above you will lose PV. I will say that if you're nervous to leave, or if you're concerned that you're going to lose family or friends, especially because most people that I knew that I met in Amway, I didn't know. The only person that I knew before I got into Amway was my sponsor. She's the only one that I talked to then, and she's the only one that I talk to now. Well, no, I talked to another girl, but she wasn't in my direct line of sponsorship. She was a cross line. But I I wasn't friends with any of them. So it was a really easy break for me. I was like, all right, I'll see you when I see you, I guess. But I know that some people have family members that sponsor them, have friends that sponsor them, and you feel like if you leave, you're not going to talk to them again. You likely won't, because if they're really into it and they're really involved in it, you know, they tell you to basically, they don't tell you to, but they suggest that if people aren't willing to support you in Amway by buying products or being on your team, then they're not really, what's the point of spending time talking to that person when you could be networking and contacting people to potentially sponsor or become a customer. So I think if you're nervous about that happening, I think just face the nerves, because it's likely going to happen that you might lose a friend, you might fall out with a family member. I mean, you very well might. So, but I think you have to do what's best for you. And if you realize that you're in debt, if you realize that you're not making money, if you realize that you just really enjoy the company of a lot of people on your team, which I did. There was a few people on my team that I really enjoyed their company. My sponsor, another upline, a crossline, I was like, I really enjoy their company. But I don't speak to them anymore now that I'm not in it. I do talk to my sponsor, and one other crossline, but that's it. I don't talk to anybody else that was in my group or, you know, that I met. So I think if you're concerned about that, that might likely happen. So I think you can just face the nerves and realize that that might be your new reality. Once I finally got everything done, from deciding to leave all the way to returning products, like the biggest weight was lifted off of my chest. I felt like I finally have free time again. I finally, you know, can breathe again. I don't have all this stuff I have to constantly do, all this work I'm putting in, all of this effort to meet people and all this stuff. I just felt free. And it's crazy because they tell you that being in Amway is gonna, you know, take you to freedom, but I felt like I was in chains. I felt like I was trapped. I felt like I was in jail, literally having all these things that I had to do. But once I left, I actually felt free, which was crazy to me. And I will say that at one point when I was leaving, I was like, am I making the right decision? Because it had drilled so deep into my head that this was just like, this is one of the only ways, or no, it was the only way that you could make, you know, get to financial freedom. And I even thought like, what if I'm making the wrong decision? But now that I'm out, I'm just like, yeah, I should have left sooner. Because there's some folks that I've talked, you know, that I know that are swimming that haven't progressed. And then I know some that have progressed. But I just know the reality of it is that they're not making money like that. They're not making money like that. Again, I did just want to say thank you so much for all of the comments in the previous video that I made, all the emails, all of the transparency that people were putting out there, people talking about thank you for making that video. You're welcome. Thank you so much for watching the video. And even for those people who know someone that is caught up in Amway or any other MLM, and you kind of know that it's not going to go anywhere, but they're so caught up in it. I think the reality of it is that the person has to come to the realization that they want to leave. Because while they're in this mode of, you know, financial freedom and they're kind of drinking the Kool-Aid, it's challenging to talk them out of it, as it is with anybody. You know, you can't talk anybody into anything unless they already want to do it. But I think that they're going to have to come to the realization of themselves. I think they're going to have to come to the realization themselves that this isn't working and it's time to go. They might and they might not. I think sharing videos like the ones that I posted in my last video of people who were in it, who were in the top 1%, and they still left because they realized they weren't making money like that, or that it wasn't adding up the way they thought it was going to add up. I think that could help. But I think ultimately the person has to want to walk away and has to want to leave. My sponsor actually left, and I actually prayed for her. I prayed for a lot of people to be able to leave, and she told me that she left, and I was like, what? So we had a whole conversation about that. those are the 6 things that I did to actually leave Amway. 1 was decide to leave. 2 was I told my sponsor. 3 was I told my upline coach. 4, I called Amway to cancel my IBO-ship. Number 5 was I contacted LTD to cancel that membership. And then number 6 was I actually returned the products that I bought and got that money back. Oh, and I forgot to mention that you don't own anything. I know I said this in the last video, but you're a contract worker. You're an independent business owner. That term is used pretty loosely because you don't really own anything. If Amway goes down, you also go down. So I think if you calling Amway is probably the easiest thing to do to leave. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, I really appreciate just you watching it. I really appreciate the views and support. And if you have any more questions or want to, share your story, let us know in the comments. I've seen people kind of have conversations in the comments in the previous video, and it seems to be helping people kind of make a decision about what they want to do. So again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and have a good day. Is this recording, first of all? Okay.